Hi everybody, Russ and My Hammers 11. Hope you're all safe and well. I must apologise, I'm a bit bunged up. I'm not feeling too well today, but it doesn't matter. We still plug on because there's still lots of people to interview and a lot of great stories to keep doing. So we'll carry on anyway, regardless. I haven't gone for a test yet, so we'll see. I just think it's a cold, so hashtag pray for us. Hope everyone's well. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel or to Spotify or whatever. Obviously, we've got lots of stuff coming up. Obviously, we've got the charity events coming up as well. So make sure you subscribe to that as well. Obviously, we're trying to get £20,000 by the end of September. And we're about 16, 17 at the moment. So well on the way. Today's guest, bless him, we've been trying to get on for ages. We've been trying to sort it out. We finally find the time. We've already had his dad on a fair few episodes ago. It's Andy Ledington. Hi, Andy. How are you doing, man?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Yeah, doing well. Yeah, glad to finally get on. And I love the channel. Watched all of them so far, and really good work. And yeah, glad to put my 11 in there with everybody else's.
Thank you so much. That's very, very kind of you. Yeah, no, as obviously you and your dad, you've been watching all of them, so I really appreciate that. It's lovely to hear all those stories, and it's quite nice as well because we hear I've had a lot of like Tottenham fans and Arsenal fans and Chelsea fans contact me as well because obviously they don't get nothing like this. So it just shows you, when everyone's everything's going on in the world and stuff like that. The sort of West Ham community is a unique bunch of people, and it proves that when you have these guys when you have Tottenham fans saying, although it's West Ham, I find it really interesting because it's all about stories and people and fans, and that's what it's all about, isn't it, mate? I mean, particularly your accent detects me, Andy, that you're not from around these parts, but you're part of the West Ham community, same as everyone else, isn't it? Particularly on the Facebook side.
Yeah, absolutely. I think might be biased, but West Ham fans best in the country by a long way. It's like I say, it's one big family. You could, meet somebody the other side of the country. If you're a West Ham fan, you automatically got that connection, and that's what I love about supporting West Ham and being a West Ham fan. It's just they accept you whichever part of the country you come from. There's no bias, no malice. You're one big family. I love it.
No, you're totally right, and it's so true. I mean, you see stories of people who have had hard times because of all the everything that's been going on the last few months, and it's just the West Ham lot just seem to pull together more than anyone else, I think. And I think we may be biased, but we see the evidence, so we see it. Yeah. How have you been during sort of lockdown and stuff with you and stuff like that? How have you been?
Yeah, it's been okay. I mean, sort of give me a chance to spend more time with family and that. Watching films every night and being able to watch sort of the better days of West Ham on YouTube and that. So obviously it was a tough time with what was going on and that, but it was a personal time. It was spending time with my family and my mum and dad, and so it was okay. Glad the football's restarted, but. Yeah, it was all right. It was, got through it okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Didn't do much away flying,
Yeah.
Drinking out and takeaways, but yeah, it was good.
Yeah, but the pubs are back open, Andy, and obviously we're friends, and you do like the Foresters quite a bit, I noticed.
You've seen that on Facebook, yeah, that is me local, and that's where I get all my stick about being a West Ham fan, but yeah, I love it.
So obviously we've had your dad on, and he told his story, and I imagine your story of why you're a West Ham fan pretty much matches the fact that your dad's a West Ham fan. But what is your story, Andy?
To be honest, it's nothing really special. Like I say, it's just through my dad. Started getting into football when I was around 5 or 6. My dad took me to my first game in 1984. Down Stokes Old Ground, the Victoria Ground. We won 4-2. I don't remember much of the game, but then from then it was I was hooked. I'd go to the games all the time with my dad. We'd mainly go away games at that time, but then I went my first game at Upton Park, the first day of the 86-87 season. We beat Coventry 1-0. and I say just went from there really, home and away with my dad, and that's that was it. I mean, you don't, as many people have said, you don't start supporting West Ham for the glory. It's but I loved it. Going to Upton Park, that it was really highlights. Win, lose or draw, it was just brilliant to go down there and be with the fans, go in the pubs. Very sad when we left, but yeah, I mean, it's just through my dad that I'm a West Ham fan, and I wouldn't change it for the world. You
No.
know, not at
and
all.
that's what's nice as well. I think it's nice for your dad as well. Obviously, having you taking up, the coat of arms, so to speak. But it must be nice. You and your dad get to spend a lot of time together, up and down, back to London or whatever, on away days, and that's what it's all about, really, isn't it? To be fair.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we've had some great days watching West Ham. I think the bad days are
Ooh,
success in my time supporting the club, but it's the days where you go beat Man United 1-0 in the cup when they can use score, but then you can go to Chesterfield or Tranmere and and see us knocked out of the cup. It's
yeah,
that's it, and that's West Ham.
it
But
is.
that's one of the great things about supporting the club. You never know what you're going to get week in, week out.
Yeah.
Um,
Just
I mean,
like a life of box of chocolates.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I've said I wouldn't like to be a supporter of a Man City or a Man United when you know what you're going to get week in, week out. I think that's the beauty of supporting West Ham.
It's character building, isn't it? That's what someone
Yeah,
said.
yeah. It might be a bit of a twisted mindset that it gives you a bit of a buzz when you don't know what you're going to get, but that's the beauty of it.
It's
I mean,
true.
I have been called a glory hunter in the past, and I've said there's no proof there that I'm a glory hunter at all. You know.
I know, yeah. It's one of those things, isn't it? When you think about it, we have this. It's just so irrational, like being a West Ham fan, really, because we're not in it for the glory, but it is those half a dozen times a season when they turn up, and you don't know when they're going to be. You don't
Yeah.
know if it's going to, and usually it is an Arsenal or it's Man United or Tottenham, but then after restart, Norwich. We never win at Norwich, and then it's
Yeah,
like 4-0.
yeah,
It's just it just doesn't make no sense, and
yeah,
it's just that's just being a West Ham fan, isn't it? We're used to it. That's the thing.
yeah. That's it. Yeah, you're dead right. It's like the Chelsea game the end of last season.
Yeah,
We'd have thought that had been one of the games we'd have picked up 3 points. I mean, it was probably one of the highlights of last season. Unfortunately, nobody was there to
yeah,
be
it's
able to
true.
see it live.
Oh, but I was full of confidence in the Chelsea game. It's like I knew he was going to get. I don't know what it was. It was just 'cause it was West Ham. It's like
Yeah,
Newcastle. I had a feeling we weren't going to get nothing against Newcastle on Saturday,
mm,
just because
yeah,
it's West Ham, and we know we got seven. And actually, people say, "Oh, we've got a nightmare 7 games coming up." But actually, you look at how well we usually play against those teams.
yeah.
I don't think it's going to be all doom and gloom. But after that sort of run of 7 games, I really, really don't because West Ham turn up at the most random times, and so
Well,
I
yeah. I
could
mean,
exactly.
yeah. It's in theory we could go to Arsenal next week and nick a 1-0 or something. You don't know, do you?
Well,
It's
particularly with no crowd, behind, it's a level playing field now.
yeah,
I was watching the latest instalment of that of the Tottenham Amazon documentary series, and it was this sort of bunch of episodes was all about the basically lockdown, and Daniel Levy was like really against sort of finishing the season behind closed doors because of the home advantage. And to be honest, I don't really see us going to Arsenal as being a big deal now, because
no,
there's no fans. It's just literally like it is, we're used to it now. And actually, we performed really well. We went to Man United and, after restart, and to be honest, we should have won that game. We looked the
yeah,
better
yeah,
team.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and so we'll see. I don't think it's all doom and gloom just yet.
No,
I've
no.
still
I
got
mean,
my pre-season optimism is still there. So I'm still here. Don't worry, my webcam's come
yeah,
off. My pre-season optimism is still there. So we'll see. A few more days and we'll see.
yeah, yeah. I'm just hoping that we can bring in, 2 or 3, maybe 4 players before the transfer window closes. I do think we need more players.
Yeah,
Um, but I think we'll be all right. Just I don't expect anything special this season, but I think I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, I think we'll be all right. And you're right. I mean, the team that we played, against Newcastle was pretty much exactly the team that finished the season. So
Yeah,
they did
yeah,
well. So it's not like we know there's reinforcements needed, and we'll see what
yeah,
happens. In that, we're still, what was it? Still like 3 or 4 weeks, haven't we? 3 weeks. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, this will go out just before the Charlton game, so this will go out tomorrow. So we go out on Tuesday. So
yeah.
Charlton in the cup. I think if we get a win there, it might get a bit of momentum going.
Yeah. Hopefully. I mean, I've said to my dad, we both agree on this. I mean, we're not going to do anything in the league. We know that, but I just like a cup run. I
Yes,
mean, I haven't seen West Ham win a cup in my lifetime as a West Ham fan, and that's one thing I want to see. I mean, obviously we came close in 2006, but I would like to see us win a cup. And just give it a go.
Yeah, I think everyone's the same, and I think at the moment, because we're not playing, because it's Tuesday and we're not playing to the following Saturday, and there's lots of players who need a run out. I think Haller needs a run out. I wouldn't mind seeing some of the young lads, the Coventries and Cullens of this world, give them a
Yeah,
run out.
definitely.
Obviously Cullen played Charlton all season, didn't he, last season? So
Yeah,
we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'm quietly
yeah. Fingers
confident,
crossed.
but yeah, I mean, if we win that, I think we win that. We play Hull or Leeds, I think next round. Whoever
Yeah,
wins that
Leeds or
game, I
Hull, I
think
think it
so.
is. Yeah,
At home the following week, so we'll see what happens. But
yeah,
rest aside, it'll be entertaining whatever happens because it always is at West Ham. We'll see.
yeah.
It's those games
Absolutely.
it's those games that surprise you, isn't it? We can easily lose 2-0 or win 7-0, and
Yeah,
that's why I love West Ham. That is
yeah.
literally why I love it.
I just don't
It's
want to
never
repeat of Oxford from last season, 4-0 to
no,
Oxford.
no. But again, that's exactly the point. And then that's the same team, who goes and beats Chelsea 3-2, and always beats Man United and
Yeah.
stuff. But he's been a West Ham fan, right? Let's crack on with the 11. Because I'm looking forward to this, Andy. So the only rule is you have to be alive to have seen them play, and that's it. You can talk about whoever you want, whatever context, and that's the great thing. And that's what
Yeah.
we're doing. So we'll start off in goal. Who's in goal for the Andy 11?
Well, I've decided to pick my players post 1988 because that was sort of the time where my vivid memories of going to watch West Ham
Sure.
started. I mean, obviously I saw a lot of the legends play before that, but I wasn't really old enough to appreciate sort of how good they were. So a lot of legends aren't going to make this team, but some will. Some. So from '88 onwards, this is my team.
Yep.
So in goal again, Phil Parkes was coming to the end when I was really getting into watching West Ham. So it's Ludo all day long. Sort of. I remember when we signed him. He was like one of the first foreign players that we'd signed. That I could remember. And I think we went on his home debut. I think might have been against Blackburn. And one of my very memories was the fans around us didn't know how to pronounce his name. Saying, is it Lud? Is he? It was quite funny. But yeah, brilliant goalkeeper. I remember the game against Man United when we stopped them winning the league in '95. Best goalkeeping performance I've seen from a West Ham keeper. Just can't remember him having many bad games, if any, or making many really glaring errors. Just a really top keeper, and from what I've heard, really top nice bloke as well. So yeah, it's Ludo all day long for me in
Yeah.
goal.
Definitely. No, he was a lovely bloke, and as you said, he just sort of this new age of goalkeeper, wasn't he? Really,
Yeah.
compared to others who've been beforehand, and yeah, no, and it is funny because obviously he had a sponsored Skoda, didn't he? So
Yeah.
all the others had Dagenham Motors sponsored Fords, and he had a Skoda, which was just typically Ludo. Right, okay, Ludo's in. Are we what formation are we playing, Andy? It doesn't mean massive.
It's 4-4-2. That's a
Okay.
formation that I like. So yeah.
All right, let's go left back then. Who are we going to have left back then, Andy?
There's no competition here. It's Julian all day long.
Yep.
What my all-time Hammers hero, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
Brilliant footballer. Loved his attitude on the pitch. sort of, gave it his all, cared about the fans as well. I remember me and my dad went to Derby in the League Cup quarter-final replay. I think it was 1989, 90, something like that. I think Julian was either out injured or might have been suspended. I don't know. And I think him and Martin Allen were up in the stands with the fans, getting the songs going and that. I mean, you wouldn't get that nowadays. But yeah, Julian, I was when he came back, and people forget that he had a couple of really bad injuries, potential career-threatening injuries, and came back twice, and so arguably he wasn't playing full 100%, but for a large part of his career with us. But what a player, what a leader on the pitch. It's not often that you get your talisman being a left back. And the amount of goals he scored as well. I think a lot of strikers would be proud of his goal scoring record. I think he was top scorer at the club for quite a few seasons when he was with us. I love Julian, and I was gutted when he left for Slaven as well. When he, delighted when he came back to join the coaching staff, but obviously it didn't work out there. But love Julian. Me hero really. Yeah,
and you're right. I mean, thinking about it, he'd regularly hit double figures, and until Antonio hit double figures last season, we haven't had a striker hit double figures until I think it was Colton Cole or Ian Wright, and that was years ago, So yeah, it's shocking when you think of it like that in respect to our strikers, but from the perspective of a left back, he was awesome, absolutely awesome. Julian was, and as you said, it's nice to see them doing well at West Brom. Hopefully, not when they come to London Stadium, but every other game apart from West Ham games, I wish him well. But yeah, no, he's a great man, and yeah, I'm same as you. He's just a talisman and could just galvanise a crowd and a team from left back. And you look at left backs now, not just West Ham, but Premier League in England in general. They're not like particularly charismatic. They're not sort of think they're going to live and die for the shirt, but Julian did, and he was. I hope there's when he sort of retires from the game properly, that there is proper recognition for what he brought to the club. Cause,
absolutely.
There's a lot of them out there, isn't it? Well, I think it needs some. I don't know how they do it, but there needs to be recognition for some of these players, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, with Julian, I just think he's a lovely bloke, and obviously he's got a very cute new baby as well. Bless him.
Yeah,
that's what you need when you're sort of trying to tactically spearhead your newly promoted team to the Premier League, having loads of sleepless nights. That's great. That's great. Having to do the feeds. doesn't make it easy on himself. Right. Okay. Left back. Let's go right back then, Andy. Who's going to be right back?
Again, I was too young really to see Ray Stewart at his peak. Arguably our greatest right back. And I had one or two choices here. I loved Thomas Repka when he played for the club. Quite divisive character with the fans, but he came as a centre half. Didn't work out for him at centre half, but I thought when he moved to right back, he was a really good, solid full back for us. Sebastian Schemmel, I really liked him when he was at the club. I think more of a wing back than a right back, But for me, right back, it's going to be Timmy Breaker. I remember when we signed him. I think it was Billy Bonds' first signing. From Luton. I'd say equally good going forward as he was defending. A regular, put in a good solid performance. A really good, honest right back. And I'd love for have Timmy and Julian on the side now. I'd say Timmy was really honest and a good solid fullback, and he'd chip in with his fair few goals as well. And himself.
He did, and he was one of those guys who, and I've said it a few times on the channel, I appreciated more now than I did then, because I was only young, so it was like I wasn't bothered about the right back. You know what I mean? It's like I was bothered about Julian Ditch because he scored loads of good goals and was like sent off and people like that, but not necessarily Tim Breaker because he was just like a regular 7 out of 10. But as you said, we could do with a couple of 7 out of 10 fullbacks at the moment, couldn't we?
Absolutely, yeah.
And when you talk to the players who were around that time, he was like the model professional. He's just would train harder than anyone else. I mean, Mad Dog called him the machine or the
Yeah,
robot, whatever it was, and you could see that in, and he was just a lovely bloke as well, very quiet, very mild mannered, but
yeah.
yeah, no, we could do with a couple of Tim breaks, I tell you. Right, okay, Timmy's in. Let's go centre halves. Who we got centre halves? Who's your first one then, Andy?
Again, I was thinking there was a few I could have gone for. Slaven when he came to the club, I thought it was a quality centre half. Like continental. Great ability. Stevie Potts. I love Potts. One of my favourites.
Yeah,
Hammers. I think if he'd have been a bit taller, might have got international caps. I think he was that
definitely.
good. But for me, two centre halves, I'm going to go with the two really were a partnership throughout my early days of watching West Ham, and that's Alvin and Tony Gale.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Um, Alvin, real, classy centre half. Could do, things with the ball that a lot of central midfielders could do. Scored a few goals as well. I think he should have got more caps for England, if I'm honest.
oh, definitely. Yeah,
Um, and as well as being a classy player, I think he was hard as well. I think I've read in the past a few old centre halves naming Alvin as the hardest opponent. I think Mick Harford, said that Alvin was the toughest centre half that he played against.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, Alvin was a brilliant footballer,
yeah.
and Tony Gale again, a classy centre half.
Very classy. Yeah,
I don't think now there's many teams that have got two centre halves playing for them who can bring the ball out and Tony Gale he scored the winning goal actually on my first game at Upton Park when we beat
right.
Coventry 1-0. Trademark free kick, just curling it into the top corner, similar to
Yeah,
the one he got against Liverpool in the League Cup. So yeah, Alvin and Tony sort of that they're the centre half partnership that I'll always sort of recognise as my favourite partnership at the club.
yeah.
So yeah, two quality defenders there. Yeah,
No, you're right, and you're right about saying about players who play it out. You don't get usually two in the same team, do you? You usually get a blocker and one who plays. So it's
yeah,
like it's got a, and I think it's a lost art. I think players bringing it forward, as much. You don't see it as much now.
no,
They're always trying to hit a 30-yard, crossfield perfectly timed ball. But there's something about a defender sort of bringing it forward from centre back. I know Oggy does it a few times. He did
yeah,
it, and there's something about that because there's a lot of space usually for a centre half to run into. Because there's usually this fullback in the centre forwards that move back or go to the wings. There's a bit of space there to do it more often. But yeah,
yeah.
and both lovely guys as well. Tony and Alvin. So good shouts. Yes, I like that. Right, let's go into midfield. Let's go left midfield. Who are we going to have on the left half?
It was a toss up between two really. I was thinking of Kevin Keane because Kevin Keane was
Yeah,
one of my favourites as well back in the day. Another good player. Got a lot of ability and scored a lot of goals, creative. But on the left, I'm going to go Stuart Slater.
oh
Um,
nice. Yeah,
I think from the sort of around 88, 89 through to perhaps when he left the club, he was brilliant. I vividly remember the FA Cup game against Everton where he really ripped him apart. And I thought at that time he was going to go on and to play for one of the so-called big clubs and play for England. I think it was perhaps a mistake for him to leave and go to Celtic. I think perhaps if he'd have stayed, he might have got England recognition.
yeah,
But yeah, I think for those couple of seasons when we were in the division, then got promotion, he was a brilliant winger. Just direct, take people on. Again scored a few goals, and yeah, he was really quality around that time. And I
yeah,
think probably if people ask him now, he probably would say it was a mistake to go Celtic at the time.
yeah.
Perhaps that didn't, do him any favours in his career, really.
No, it seemed to just be too soon, didn't it? Really, it's
Yeah,
like maybe another couple of years, then Celtic. But Celtic was his club, one of his clubs, wasn't it? He supported, I think. So
Yeah.
it's difficult, isn't it, when your boy club comes in?
Yeah.
You sort of
And
your heart.
I think Liam Brady was manager as well. So obviously
Oh,
Liam had played with
yeah,
Slater at the club. So obviously there was a connection there as well. So
yeah.
you know,
Oh, well, there it is. But yeah, Slates, as you said, there was a couple of seasons there where he was absolutely brilliant for us. Right, all right. I'll put
yeah.
Slates in. Let's go. Let's go the other side. Let's go right midfield then. Here we have the right side.
Again, thinking about this, there's a couple I could have put in. Trevor Sinclair. I loved Sinclair when he was at the club. A
Yeah,
real quality player. Good player, loads of positions, couldn't he, Sinclair? But I'm going to go more Hoard on the right. I loved Wardy when he was at the club. Fast, pacey. Go at fullbacks, hard as well. And for his size, I mean, I'm not the tallest of blokes neither, and so that's why I empathise a bit with Wardy. But yeah, a brilliant winger. Sort of. I know when he left the club, we got Bish and Morley sort of in exchange, if you like. But I was sad to see Woody go because he's one of my favourites. And again, I wish we had wingers like him at the club now.
it's the tenacity, isn't it, that I think Mark Ward brought. He was like
Yeah,
a tenacious. It was I can't remember who said it. It might have been Macca or someone, and he called him like a little Rottweiler and a little terrier rather, and that's what he
yeah,
was. Just like it's nipped around people's. He was small, but he could just hold his own. It's like when you go to a club, you never fuck with the small bouncer because he's there for a reason, and
yeah,
and
yeah,
and that and that it's not because of his brutes, because he's a nutter, and with Walder, he just got that sense, wasn't he? He was ferocious, and him and when obviously they do when I interviewed him and Pikey, and they spoke about that goal at Man United that they sort of crossed it over and he sort of miscued it, and then Pikey and they said, oh yeah, it was all a training ground thing, but he was he's a lovely bloke and he loves the club, and they
yeah.
all do, don't they? All these guys, and look at all of them. They all love the club, and with Waldy, I just think he would, what we could do with something like him, on the right, and then or even on the left. We put him on the left because no one seems to want to play left wing for us at the
Yeah,
moment. So
yeah, definitely,
he'll do a job there. He'll do a job there. But we'll put Waldy in.
absolutely.
Good chap. Okay, let's go into the central midfield. Who's your first centre midfielder then, Andy?
Ian Bish.
Oh,
Yeah.
good old Bishop.
Brilliant footballer, classy, could ping balls all over the pitch, scored a lot of goals, most of them were, quite spectacular goals as well. I remember going to Port Vale in the 1990-91 season. He scored one from about 30 yards right in the top corner, just summed him up real. He could play on any pitch. He really was a class player. And again, he should have played for England, should have got caps for England.
Yeah.
Perhaps if he'd have played for one of the so-called bigger clubs, he'd have got 50, 60 caps. But
Well, it,
yeah,
it's,
it's
it's
sort of
it's a common thread, isn't it? When you look at some of the players that you've mentioned and other people who like Bonzio and stuff like that, these guys should have played for England. It's like it just doesn't make no sense at all. And someone like
yeah,
Bish as well. You look at who was around during his time, and he was just a classy midfielder. And maybe he was almost too. He was there too early. You know what I mean? It's like he was more. He would do a great job now. Like David Silva
yeah,
type player. Like just classy on the ball. Always had time and could pick a pass.
yeah. I do think he was sort of ahead of his time as
Yeah,
a player. I mean, you didn't really. I can't really think of many central midfielders who were equal to him at the time. I mean, obviously he had Gascoigne and that, but I think he was a different kind of player.
yeah.
But yeah, I think Bish, and I watch his podcast 5 Pints In. I listen to it regularly, and he just seems like a thoroughly decent, down to earth bloke.
Proper bloke. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody you could have a drink with in the pub.
Yeah,
Uh,
and but again,
no
that's
airs,
like
no airs or graces about him.
no, totally. That is so true. And actually, you look at this team, and you could quite easily see all these guys down the pub. You know what I mean? It's like you just have that association with play. They're proper
Yeah,
blokes.
I think it'd be a good night out as well with him.
Oh, some of those stories when we interviewed
Yeah,
Bish, some of those stories, bless him, and about the
yeah,
drinking and stuff, and yeah. It was funny, but that's him, and that's always been him, and he's no airs
Yeah,
and graces. He's never said he wasn't anything else, and I think that's why West Ham, because he's a genuine bloke, and I think when you're genuine, irrespective of yeah, I mean, when we interviewed, you mentioned Sinclair, we interviewed Trev, and he said, when we finished fifth that year, maybe if we didn't do our Tuesday clubs and went out Tuesday night and didn't have training Wednesday, we might have won the league. But
yeah,
it's like, yeah, horses and courses, it's everything, ifs and whats. But that's what made that generation. I think that's why you pick people like Mark Ward and Bish, because it's not just them playing, it's them off the field as well, and it's just, I don't know. It's just
yeah,
it's something which I think is terribly absent in modern football at the moment. Is that sort of personalisation? Everyone seems to be so uber professional. That's like why I quite like watching the Amazon documentaries and stuff, because it
yeah,
gives another side to it. Yes, I don't like Dele Alli. I don't like the man, but fair play. They managed to make him having a conversation about a toothbrush for about 2 minutes vaguely interesting, because everyone was looking at him because he put water on his toothbrush before the toothpaste and after the toothpaste. But
yeah,
but do you know what? So, but fair enough,
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and I just think we missed that. I think we just missed that in football in general. You know, and particularly you guys who go to a lot of away games, and as you said, when you'd see Alvin or in the stands or whatever. I mean, obviously Ginge used to go to a lot of the away games as well,
yeah,
and I just think it's a real shame. It's a real shame because you don't have you don't have many opportunities at the moment because you can't get within 2 meters of them anyway. But to really sort of connect with footballers anymore, because they bugger off after 3 years and then they're called a legend because they've played three, I don't know, 100 games, and
yeah.
they're a legend. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm just becoming a grumpy old man, I think, after doing these because it's like
You're dead right. I mean, there's no characters left anymore. I mean, and it's like, if you wait outside the grounds before, when the players arrive, they rarely acknowledge you anymore. You can't get near them. I mean, at Upton Park, many times, me and my dad went down there. We'd meet players, have autographs signed, and they were great. Alvin, Alan Devonshire. They were happy to come up to you and have a chat. But now it's a different world. You
And
know.
particularly for you and your dad, obviously, because your accent didn't say you were just down the road from Green Street, so
Yeah,
they're probably asking you even more questions and stuff, which was nice,
yeah, yeah,
which is great.
yeah.
But
That
yeah,
was
it's
it.
it's it's true, but it's indicative of modern football. Just like the grounds, you don't get those close proximity to the fans anymore, and yeah, it's a shame because same as my daughter will never have the excitement of me walking down the road and seeing. I don't know. For me, it was like I lived in Loughton where loads of the players used to live, and you would see. I mean, I used to work at Safeways there, and Shaka would regularly be in there, and Samasi Abu and
Yeah,
Paul Kitson and people like that, and Bish, and that was just normal.
yeah,
You would be excited. You just don't get that anymore. I
yeah,
can't remember the last time I've seen a football player sort of out of captivity. That's not in their penthouse Canary Wharf,
yeah.
flats. But yeah. Anyway, I'll stop ranting. Right. Okay. Bish is in. Who else is in the central midfield players, Andy?
My other central midfielder was a bit of a toss-up. I mean, I'd love to put John Moncur in there because, again, another character and another really quality footballer. Love the club. Um, but I think, in my team, I think he's a bit too similar to Bish. Is it like, classy midfielder and that. So I'm going to go for Martin Allen as my other central midfielder.
Oh,
Um,
great shout.
a lot of time for Mad Dog.
Yeah.
Um, I was down. Me and my dad were down there when he made his debut against Plymouth in 1989. That was on my birthday as well, and he scored. He scored for us. We beat him 3-2. And I say, Martin Allen was hard, but again, a good player. Scored some really good, spectacular goals. Could create as well as do the dirty work. Again, in interviews and that, he comes across as a really funny and
Yeah.
you know quality bloke. And
He is.
yeah, so Bish and Martin Allen because they were
Oh.
my midfield pairing when I was in that first. The memories started. were vivid, of watching West Ham.
Totally. No, I love that. And what made me laugh about Martin, because obviously we've had him on as well, and when they interviewed, it was I can't remember who interviewed first. It might have been Martin or Kevin Keane, and obviously they used to carpool together, and I just can't see how that would work. Do you know what I mean? Because like Kevin Keane is so like mild mannered, and then Martin Allen is so Martin Allen, and it's like that must have been absolute. And when I interviewed Kevin Keane, he couldn't get his head around how he was best mates with him, because it's like they shouldn't be mates, but they just were. And
Yeah,
but that's what I loved about that era. You said like Bish, and you said like Monks, and you said like Kevin Keane and Martin Allen, and those players just like when you mention them, just make you smile. And
yeah,
I just don't get that affection if you mentioned, I don't know, Edmilson Fernandez, or I just don't get that same.
yeah,
It's like it's really sad, because I think that's that, and again, it's not just West Ham, but it's modern football in general. It's like I imagine Man United fans will have the same thing with Roy Keane and I don't know McTominay or whatever. It's like but it
yeah.
is. It's just that generational thing. But yeah, Mad Dog was top
But,
bloke, top
like you
bloke.
say, I mean, a lot of the players now they just pass through the club, don't they? They spend a couple of seasons and then they're off. But like
Yeah,
most of the players in my team who have picked now, they had like good 7 or 8 years at the club, so
yeah,
became like pretty much club legends, and we're
yeah.
fondly remember. Well, we'll be fondly remembered in years to come still.
Definitely, no,
But like I said,
definitely.
Emilson Fernandez, I don't think. I tend to have forgotten about him now, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And that's what's quite funny about his channel, because obviously it's a generational thing, and for someone they may well like to, and he hasn't got in conversation. It's probably not best example, but I don't know, Hayden Mullins or something like that. It's like
yeah,
and it's nice to give people in different generations a time to try. See, because your era, Andy, is very similar to mine, so that's why I like the Mad Dogs and stuff,
yeah,
and. And that's what's interesting, because your dad was obviously he had a different era and he had
yeah.
more players to pick as well. So um, that's how fun. And Mad Dog's just a nutter, and I love him. And we had
Yeah,
such a giggle, such a giggle. It was so funny. And then at the end, I didn't realise that he was eating a dog biscuit all through the interview. I never realised until at the end, and he was like. It's like a Bono biscuit. I was like, "You're so funny." I just like you bless him.
yeah.
Right, let's go up front. Who's your first striker then, Andy?
Well, my first striker is the person who was my first hero at the club, and that's Frank McAvenny. Although I can't really remember a lot about that 85-86 season, I do remember Frank, when he
Yeah,
signed, and, when I played football at school, I'd always want to wear number 8 because McAvenny wore number 8. And then obviously I remember more of his second spell at the club. Unfortunately, I don't think he was at his best in his
no,
second spell because obviously he broke his leg in that first game against Stoke. Chris Kamara did him badly. But he was, always, my favourite striker, worked hard, brilliant footballer. I say he scored goals. And again, another really good bloke and
yeah,
funny character. And I say I wish I could remember the 85-86 season. I watch a lot of the highlights of that on YouTube
yeah,
and that, and he was arguably probably was the best striker in the country, even though he didn't win the Golden Boot that year. Lineker got it, I think. As an all-round striker, he probably was the best striker in the country at
yeah.
that time. And it's just a shame that injuries perhaps didn't, do him any favours in his second spell with us. Which was a shame.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and do a team actually if people have gone and come back. I'm gonna call it the Boomerang 11, because like
Yeah,
people like Maka was like I just think we again I've been extremely fortunate to meet a lot of these people, and Maka is an absolute gentleman.
yeah,
He made me seem like, when we chatted, it was like I was his mate, and we've been mates for years. And
yeah,
probably he does it with everyone. That's probably just the nature of him as a character. But we'd be on the phone. I'd phone him up. I'd go, when can we do it this week? I'm on the golf course. He's literally on the golf course, literally every fucking day. I
Yeah.
laughed about footballers on the golf course, but literally he was on the golf course. Like Monks was always on the golf. Everyone's always on the fucking golf course. It's hilarious. But Macca was, a gentleman, absolute gentleman, and I think that's why people, naturally sort of lean towards some players other than others, because it's just how they come across off the pitch. You'd have I don't know, there'd be players who probably scored more goals than McAvenny, who we can't even remember. But it's
Yeah.
it's not just on and off the pitch, And he was like a West Ham player because he was a playboy. He had the hair, he had the page three models,
Yeah.
but he was just put it in, and he put a shift in every game, and that's what he said. He went, you could not. He says, I put a shift in every training session, every game. I'd work my arse off, and he goes,
Yeah.
and he's really frustrated when he watches professional football players now who don't put a shift in, not just West Ham but in general.
Yeah.
Because he's like, you're playing this amazing game, you've got the ability to earn an absolute crapload of money kicking a ball about, and you don't put it in for 90 minutes. It just he really got really angry about it, but I
Yeah.
totally agree with him.
But
Totally agree with him.
it sums up his love for West Ham as well when he came back, because he had the chance to go Arsenal, who were going to win the league,
Yeah,
but he chose to sign for us, knowing that we were going down.
yeah,
I mean, I think if that was to happen in the modern day with another player, he'd they go to. It's like somebody turning down Man City to come to us now. It wouldn't happen, but I think he proved loved ones that he did come to us, even
totally.
knowing that we were going to get relegated. You know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. Right, Mac is in. Who's the last piece of this pie then, Andy?
Paolo Di Canio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
God bless him.
another one of my heroes. Well, you can't say enough about Paolo. Brilliant footballer. Character on the pitch. It was a joy just to see him gesticulating every. As much as his football ability. It was just as entertaining watching him. On the pitch. Actually, gave me one of my greatest memories as a West Ham fan when he scored the winner at Old Trafford in the FA
Yeah,
Cup when we beat Man United. I mean, what a day that was! It was just fantastic. I think perhaps in the last couple of seasons wasn't treated that well by Glenn Roeder. I think
no,
perhaps that if Roeder sort of hadn't been that stubborn, I think perhaps we might not have gone down, because I don't think Paolo featured that much in that
no, he
relegation
didn't. No,
season.
no, no.
I think but obviously when Sir Trevor took over, he did bring Paolo back in the side, and we nearly stopped up. But yeah, a great player, Paolo. I mean, at my time, he's probably the most naturally gifted player I've seen at West Ham. So yeah, just love Paolo, and again another bloke who thoroughly loves the club and loves the fans, and
Yeah.
it's a character that I don't think we'll see again.
No, no.
Unfortunately.
Again, it's characters, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
characters, and it's indicative. And also, what really annoys me about the game at the moment is anyone who has a bit of character is singled out. You know what I mean? As being arrogant. So like Grealish, Grealish is just like a cocky little sod. That's all he
Yeah.
is. But he's just vilified, and I just don't think. Nowadays, I mean, look at Paolo. How you talk about cocky? The guy would
Yeah.
sit on the ball and sit, and like, and it was like, he'd fling himself about, and and he was called passionate. So I don't see
Yes.
the, it's like, it's frustrating. But yeah, Paolo's just box office, wasn't he? He really was.
Oh
He
yeah,
was a
without a
guy
doubt. Yeah.
you'd pay your season ticket just to see him, because he was just brilliant, and he still loves the club, and
Yeah.
and again, he's just one of those players who, you know, I could never trust him with our club being manager, but you would think there'd be some way that he could be involved somewhere, just from a passion side. You know what I mean? Even as a
Yeah.
cheerleader, bring back the Hammerettes, and then Paolo could be the main one. For half time. But it
Yeah.
would be lovely to find somewhere to put him, just for his passion and
Yeah.
everything.
I mean, in a fantasy world, I'd love to see him come back as manager, but I don't think it'd be a good mix. The current board, anyway, and Paolo.
Well, I think
You
I
know,
think he'd upset people because he'd be wanting to win so much. Very similar to
yeah,
sort of Zola. Zola was the best player at West Ham, and he was
mm,
the manager. And I think you'd get that with Paolo, but you'd get that passion, and he would just piss everyone off in the
yeah,
first week, and then all want to leave.
yeah,
And yeah, no, I just think he's a bridge too far, but no, definitely
yeah,
somewhere. Anyway, Andy, it's been lovely, man. I'm fine. I'm glad we finally get to chat
yeah.
more than
It's been
anything.
a
It's been
pleasure.
really, really nice. Thank you so much. I really
No
appreciate
worries. Yeah, it's been
your
really good.
time and your patience in getting you on the channel. But thank you, man. And obviously, thanks to everyone else for watching. Like, share, subscribe. If it's on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasty or any Alexa or whatever, anyone, you can try that. Try it. See if it works with Alexa. Right, say play Miami's 11 and see what happens, because I think we should be on that as well. But anyway, whatever happens, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share it. It's a really, it's a great thing that everyone's. It's lovely all the messages, particularly on the YouTube comments. I read everyone, and some of them are really, really lovely. So thank you. And until next time, from me and Andy, take care, everyone. Stay safe. That's very, very important. And come on, you wines. And we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care, everyone. See you later. Bye bye.